Welcome back to the Play by Play Podcast YouTube channel, where today we have a little bit of a different video, or more or less a different topic than we normally do here on the channel. And I normally do not enjoy doing videos like this because the purpose of this channel is always to try and avoid a lot of the things that are happening out within the real world in terms of political topics, religious topics, not because I'm necessarily trying to, avoid them and trying to undermine their importance. But one of the big time reasons why I made this channel wasn't just because of my passion for sports and my want to analyze certain players in certain leagues, but I also wanted this to be a fun channel. And I wanted this to be a channel where it could be used as almost a distraction from everyday life, because the world, as it stands right now, is very chaotic. It is not anywhere near peaceful by any means. And I know that that can become a lot, very, very stressful, especially for the everyday person like me, who not only makes, but also for you who watches these videos. And I feel like this could be used as a little bit of an escape. But with this news that has recently come out about Jaden Ivey, if you have not heard about it, obviously we're going to discuss it, but I encourage you to go out and do your research on it, to look a little bit more into it. I couldn't deny it. It is a very, very big deal, especially right now within the basketball world. And I think that it does deserve a lot of big time attention and analysis to it. Not just because of Jaden Ivey as a person, but also I think that it is also important to see this, to understand also possibly the need that is out there for advocacy for professional sports players, and a need for leagues to prioritize their mental health a little bit more, because I don't think that there has been a massive priority by professional sports leagues to advocate for player mental health. We don't look at these guys as normal human beings. We just believe that they are making a lot of money, that they are playing a game that we think that they love on a day-to-day basis, and that makes them the happiest people in the world, and that their lives cannot be flawed by any means. And I think that that is so far from the truth, especially at this point with this situation that is going on with Jaden Ivey. So if you have not heard, Jaden Ivey a couple of days ago was waived by the Chicago Bulls, following a couple of comments that he made on Instagram Live. He made some comments towards the LGBTQ community. He made some comments towards specific religions, specifically Catholicism was the big one, and was kind of just going on massive rants in terms of his beliefs, in terms of his religion, which is, I believe, is evangelical Christianity and whatnot. And these Instagram lives, if you are not following Jaden Ivey on Instagram, or I believe he's also doing them on X or something like that, have not stopped at all. He has continued to do this, go on these long live rants or whatnot. I encourage you guys to at least look into a little bit of what he's saying, because I don't think that you really get the full story of this by just seeing clips on viral clips on TikTok. It doesn't really tell the full story of it. And the big time question is why was Jaden Ivey waived because of this? There's a group of people that have made a huge outrage and have been backlashing against the NBA and the Chicago Bulls, believing that the NBA and the Bulls are in some way trying to silence Jaden Ivey and his beliefs. And even Ivey has said a little bit that he believes that is what is going on too. I want to make this very clear. I am not trying to be biased towards any side. I am simply trying to give my best thoughts on the matter from the information that I have. I do believe that a lot of times in life, there are plenty of people that are silenced due to their beliefs. I don't think that that is what is happening here in this manner. Jaden Ivey has every right within this country. It is not a bad thing whatsoever that he is going out and preaching his beliefs, preaching what he has learned from his experiences with his religion. There is nothing wrong with him going out and talking about certain Bible verses and what it can relate to as far as improving your life. As somebody who is, I wouldn't say totally religious myself, but at least tries my best to practice within my religion. Those are things that are very, very acceptable, and I think should actually be more encouraged, because I think that there are more people out there that need a guiding light in religion. However, saying some of the things that he has said about the LGBTQ community, saying certain things that he has said as a Catholic, some of the things that he has said about Catholicism, calling it fake and whatnot, saying some of the things that the Chicago Bulls have said he was doing behind the scenes, in the locker room, to players, to coaches, to reporters even, saying if they are righteous or unrighteous or not, that they are sinners, that they are wrongful, yada, yada, yada. Again, I encourage you all to go read the articles yourselves. That is not okay. That does not have any place within the workspace of his career. That is not something that anybody, no matter what they believe in, no matter who they love, whether you are Catholic, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whether you are gay, straight, queer, transgender, bisexual, some of the comments that he has made about those people, who I do want to emphasize are human beings despite certain people's beliefs, they do not deserve to hear that whatsoever. They do not deserve to be commented on in that manner whatsoever. They do not deserve to be called out within that manner whatsoever. And if you look a little bit more into Jaden Ivey and some of his Instagram lives that he's done, if you look into what the Chicago Bulls were saying that he was doing, some of the stuff that I just mentioned, this to me seems less of an advocacy for his religious beliefs and more of manic psychological episodes almost. And I'm not an expert on the brain. I'm not an expert on mental health. I'm not an expert on psychology or anything of that matter. But if you go and sit in on a couple of these lives, there is something just off about Jaden Ivey. And I don't mean as to what he is preaching about, but there are moments where he's talking about certain things that weren't even the original topic of his live, or weren't even something that he was discussing 5 seconds earlier. There are moments where he will go completely silent and seems like he is in a world of just manic anxiety, almost looking around, for people that are possibly around him before breaking out into just rants. There are moments where he is continuously repeating himself over and over and over again, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly even 10 times, saying the same thing over and over and over. I don't want to pass judgment on anybody for the situation that they are in, and I do not want to assume things when I do not know possibly the entire full story. But Jaden Ivey at this moment in time doesn't seem like somebody who is doing well personally. And we have unfortunately seen that recently within professional sports with players that have gone through traumatic injuries that have unfortunately derailed or stopped their career. We saw it unfortunately with what happened with Rondale Moore, the late wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, and before that, the Arizona Cardinals. We saw that he had a very difficult time coping with the amount of injuries that he had, which kept him off of the field. And we know that for a lot of these athletes, a lot of times, these sports and these games, that's their livelihood. That's what they've worked their entire life to get to that point. They have sacrificed a lot. So when you take that away from them, when you take away the central point in your life, think about, if the central point of your life was taken away from you. I don't know how great I would be doing mentally if I was still doing the previous career that I had in engineering and I wasn't doing this journalism stuff and podcasting and whatnot. I don't know how my mental health would really be treating me. And we know that Jaden Ivey has gone through a very, very difficult back or spinal injury that has left him a completely different and derailed basketball player. He is not the same player that was drafted 3, 4 years ago within the lottery to the Detroit Pistons. He is not the same perimeter defender, athletic monster that he was coming out of Purdue. And I don't want to make this, at all about basketball and skill sets or whatnot, but we have seen a total decline from Jaden Ivey after suffering a handful of injuries. He has not been on the court as often as he needs to be, especially at his age. I mean, the man is 24 years old, 23, 24 years old, and he has not played a full season of NBA basketball throughout the last, 2 years. Has not even put together 82 games of a season within the last 2 years. I think it's been around 70 games that he's played out of the 164 that he should have been available for. So I don't mean to be passing judgment here, but he just does not seem to be in a good spot mentally. And this is a moment that I want to take, not to call out Jaden Ivey anymore and what he has been doing, but to also call out these professional sports leagues, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, plenty of other professional leagues that we all know and love. I don't think that we have done a good enough job at giving these players an outlet to speak about mental health issues. I don't think as a country, as a nation, as a world as a whole, that we have given men a good enough outlet to go out and speak about their mental health issues. As somebody right now over the past couple of weeks who has been dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety in their life, just purely based off of the things that are happening in the real world, but also things that are happening in my life, just being super, super busy and having to go through things. There has not been a great outlet for me to speak about my mental health. And I'm an everyday walking person who is not, on a world stage, who is not a famous celebrity or athlete that has to deal with a flood of thousands of DMs, on their phone each and every single day, having to deal with, reporters and cameras wanting to be around them constantly, taking pictures and interviewing them, having to, perform at the highest level for a professional sport day in and day out, and having to train constantly and go through recovery and whatnot and yada, 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 and repeat that daily cycle. I am not in that position. So I cannot even imagine the spot that a guy like Rondell Moore was in not so long ago, that a guy like Jaden Ivey might be in right now. And I think that this has to, the question that I have to ask is, when will it be enough? How many people have to go through this type of manic state? How many people, unfortunately, have to make the decision to want to take their own lives instead of staying on this earth for us to truly take this topic seriously, not just as a sports community, but also as a nationwide community as well? We need to make mental health outlets, therapy, the option to maybe do things such as journaling or whatnot, or just have that type of outlet. We need to make that more readily available, but we also have to make it encouraged. There has been a perception forever now that as a man, you cannot go out and speak about your mental health issues. You cannot speak about the problems that you are having within your life. You will be perceived as soft, as worthless, as powerless. Why is that? Why are we doing that? Why is that a thing? Why is it a bad thing for us to talk about our emotions? Why do we speak negatively about that? Why do we have to get to these points of possibly wanting to take our own lives, of getting into these manic states for us to finally realize the issue? And again, the question is, how many men, not just athletes, but how many men have to go through this for us to finally begin to open our eyes to this issue? This is not necessarily an athletic issue. This is not a this is not a local community issue. This is a nationwide problem. And I want you guys to know, especially, for everybody, but especially the males that watch my videos, because I know that I do have a large amount of a male audience. If you are going through something right now in your life, if you are going through something negative within your life, please, I beg you, do not be afraid to talk about it. Heck, if you're going through a bad point in your life, leave a comment down below on one of my videos and we'll talk about it. Because this is something that cannot be ignored any further. We cannot keep creating this stigma around men's mental health. Please, do not believe that the only answer is leaving here. Even if you are alone, even if everything in your life seems like it's going to the trash, you have to believe that there are people out there that believe in you, that love you, and that are wishing the best for you. And that there are people out there that are willing to help you, no matter how difficult it may seem. I'll repeat it again. This is not a Rondale Moore issue. This is not a Jaden Ivey issue. This is not an NBA, NFL issue. This is not a local community issue. This is not a statewide issue. This is not a nationwide issue. This is a world issue. And no matter what he has said over the past couple of days, my prayers and my thoughts go out to Jaden Ivey. I'm sure that this is a very, very difficult time. I hope that he can get the proper help that he needs. I hope that he can speak to somebody. And I really, really do hope that we see him not just in a normal state of mind, but we also see him back on an NBA court playing once again. Because he, no matter what you want to say, is not only a great player, but has the potential to get back to the great person that he was. So to the NBA, to the NFL, let's do a better job at getting these players programs that they need to go and get help. And for my city of Las Cruces, for my state of New Mexico, for my nation, the United States of America, for this world, let's do better. Let's accept that men can have problems as well. Let's accept that men need to talk and cry. Let's do a better job at accepting each other's feelings. And let's do a better job at getting all of us healthier mentally. Subscribe, share this with your friends down below. Leave a like if you need help, if you need to talk, if you need anything like that. Comment down below. Not going to mention any of my social medias on this video. You guys already know where all those are. And with that, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.